The moment is seared into my memory like a scar that will never fade. We were at a company dinner, a night meant to celebrate the success of the quarter. My wife, Sophia, looked stunning, her smile lighting up the room. I felt proud having her by my side. But that pride shattered in a single instant. My boss, Richard, a man known for his arrogance and wealth, raised his glass, then casually pointed at Sophia. His lips curled into a smirk as he said, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear, "She's mine now." The table laughed, thinking it was a joke. But what crushed me wasn't his words, it was Sophia's reaction. She didn't recoil, didn't roll her eyes, didn't defend me. Instead, she smiled, stood up, and walked toward him. Just like that. She left my side without hesitation, leaving me frozen, humiliated in front of my colleagues. The world blurred around me. The clinking of glasses, the chatter, the laughter, it all became distant noise. All I could hear was the echo of his words and the silence of her betrayal. Later that night, I confronted her, desperate for an explanation. "Why, Sophia? After everything?" She didn't even flinch. "David, you'll never be the man he is. He has power, money, influence. With him, I'll have the life I deserve." Those words gutted me. It wasn't just betrayal. It was dismissal, as if years of love and sacrifice had been nothing more than placeholders until someone better came along. The next morning, she was gone. Her side of the closet empty. Her perfume still lingering in the air like a cruel reminder. At work, Richard strutted around, more smug than ever, as if taking my wife was just another business acquisition. I wanted to fight, to scream, to make them both pay. But instead, I buried the pain deep inside. I kept my head down, endured the whispers, the pitying looks from co-workers, the humiliation of being the man whose boss stole his wife. But humiliation has a strange way of planting a seed. And while they thought they had broken me, they had no idea what kind of storm was quietly taking shape inside me. The months that followed were brutal. Every day at the office felt like a battlefield I was losing before I even stepped through the doors. Richard flaunted Sophia like a trophy, parading her at company events, whispering in her ear during meetings where I sat only a few chairs away. Their laughter echoed through the hallways like knives slicing into my pride. Colleagues avoided eye contact, unsure whether to pity me or stay out of Richard's way. I was no longer David, the hardworking manager. I was the man whose boss stole his wife. That label clung to me like a curse. I thought about quitting. I thought about disappearing altogether. But late one night, staring at the empty apartment where Sophia's betrayal still lingered in every corner, something inside me shifted. If she thought I would crumble, if Richard believed he had reduced me to nothing, then I would let their arrogance become the fire that forged my revenge. I started small, working harder, staying later, studying every angle of the business. While Richard spent his nights whining and dining, I sharpened my skills. I built connections outside the company, networking with people Richard underestimated. Slowly, a plan began to form. At the gym, I rebuilt my body. At the office, I rebuilt my reputation. Friends who had turned their backs in discomfort started to notice the change. "You're different," one colleague remarked. And they were right. I wasn't the same man who sat broken at that dinner table. 2 years passed, and while Richard enjoyed his empire of arrogance, I created something of my own. A rival firm approached me with an offer, one that gave me not only freedom but power. I accepted. And with it, I took clients Richard thought were loyal to him, clients who preferred integrity over ego. The final blow came quietly but powerfully. One afternoon, Richard stormed into my new office, red-faced, demanding to know how I had stolen a major contract right out from under him. Sophia stood behind him, her face pale, no longer radiant, but worn from the life she thought was perfect. I looked at them both and smiled, not with malice but with triumph, because the tables had finally turned. Richard slammed his fists on my desk, his voice shaking with fury. "You think you can humiliate me? You think you can steal from me?" I leaned back in my chair, calm, composed. "I didn't steal anything, Richard. I earned it. You were too busy chasing after things that didn't belong to you." My eyes flicked briefly to Sophia, and for the first time in years, she couldn't meet my gaze. She looked older, tired, as if the shine she once flaunted had dulled under Richard's constant need to control. Her smile, the one she wore when she walked away from me, was gone. What remained was a hollow echo of the woman I used to love. You'll regret this, Richard snarled. I shook my head. No, Richard. You will. You thought taking my wife would destroy me, but all you did was free me. You gave me the chance to rebuild without you or her weighing me down. The silence that followed was heavy. Richard stormed out, dragging Sophia behind him like a shadow. But as they walked away, she turned, her eyes meeting mine with something between regret and longing. For a split second, I saw the truth. She wasn't happy. She hadn't been for a long time. But that wasn't my burden anymore. Months later, the inevitable happened. Richard's empire began to crack. His arrogance, his recklessness, his belief that he was untouchable all caught up to him. Scandals, lawsuits, betrayals from the very people he thought were loyal. It all came crashing down. And Sophia? She came to see me once, standing nervously in the lobby of my office. Her voice was soft, almost fragile. David, I made a mistake. Richard ruined me. Can we? I stopped her with a raised hand. No, Sophia. You made your choice when you smiled and walked away with him. I don't hate you. But I don't want you. My life is full now, without the shadow of betrayal. She cried that day, but I didn't waver. I had already moved forward. Because sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't rage or destruction. It's living well enough that the people who left you realize too late what they threw away. And as I walked back into my office stronger than ever, I knew one truth. Richard had pointed at her and said, "She's mine now." But in the end, neither of them had anything worth keeping. While I had everything I needed,